Hey, welcome back to How to Manage Tech with me, Dean Tooby. In the last lesson, we looked at the run stage processes of our process skeleton, or our value stage, if you like, where we handle the operations, and we looked at the flow through from an incident to a solution via release. What I want to do now in this lesson is I want to talk to you about the tactical stage, where we actually put a solution together, largely driven by design and project management, how those two work together, useful for both project managers and IT service managers. If you find this content useful, please subscribe to the channel. That'll be a great way of supporting me. Let's get stuck in. We finished off with this picture here, and as you remember, we had the service desk, incident, problem, change, release, deploy, helping us take a bug all the way through to a fix, supported by self-service options to log requests, which can get fulfilled in a number of ways, along with an error database there. We've got our problems stored, as well as testing of our releases going at configuration management, capturing information on our items. I want to embark on the next part, moving up, if you like, the value stream to the earlier stages of design, planning, project management, and how we put our solutions together. What I'm going to talk to you now about is how we launch a project and how we go about doing the design. But I'm going to pick on a few particular aspects of the design. Project management and solution development is something I'm going to cover later, but for the time being, I'm in the ITSM world, and I want to show how projects are going to interact with that ITSM world. And let's start with our project being kicked off. Like so. Remember, we talked about things like Prince2, PIMBlock, Agile project management. Of course, you can also do this with an ongoing development method, product delivery method. If you've got an existing solution, you're rolling out updates to it. But the point being here that we've probably got a big slab of work to do, and we're in what we call an initiative or a project mode. All right, so we're going to invoke, now I'm going to call this design planning. This is an aspect of the ITSM framework where we start planning our products and services. Very popular here is using human-centered design. And human-centered design is where we put people first. We try and improve the lives of people through the design of products and solutions. And how that's impinging in IT is through usability, but also into the actual ITSM field itself, making it far easier to engage with IT and looking at what sort of journey customers go on in dealing with us. What happens here then is going to branch in a couple of directions from that service planning. Going to go down and get into some of the engineering stuff, and going to go across, if you like, doing software development, doing solution development, assuming there's a software component to it, and also going to look at organisational change. So let me add those things in now. What I want to suggest is that we're going to have what we call a service catalogue. And our service catalogue is like a menu of existing services that we already offer. And our service catalogue is the reference for what we're adding to, what we're going to be modifying, or for example, we might be doing some work that offers new levels of service. We also think it's really important to start looking at what are the effects going to be on people and the organisation. So we need to start looking at our organisational change elements like so. We can go a few ways here. Now, in particular, what I want to do is follow a fairly traditional route and show you how from the design planning we go into business analysis and then software development, and show our business analysis. Now, it's a relatively new inclusion at a very high level in ITIL framework. Certainly business analysis has been around for quite a while as a well-established practice, and as I mentioned before, what that's going to do is lead on to our software development piece. And this is where you might be invoking things like Scrum. What I'm going to add in here is a really important part, and this is that what we need to do, if the service catalogue is the menu, then negotiating a service level agreement is like a waiter taking an order. In other words, what we're doing with our customer is saying what parts of the existing services we run and products that we have are you using, and then what is the new and bespoke stuff that we're adding into the mix. And it's a blend, obviously, potentially of a brand new solution, nothing from the catalogue, so we're adding a new entry into the catalogue, or we're just making a minor upgrade to an existing entry into that catalogue. So what now happens then, and this is very, very important for IT service management, is we invoke a practice called service level management. And this is where we negotiate the level of service. And this is a key design element. This is a key expectation management tool. Service level management then is where we start discussing what exactly the quality levels are and what exactly the prices are going to be that the customer can afford. And this is where we get into a lot more of the engineering. Now, one of the major outputs from this is a service level agreement, or an SLA, which you may well have heard of. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate that this is a document by turning up a little corner. Now that's a key expectation management tool. The SLA is a statement in plain, simple English what a customer can expect to get by way of performance, by way of price, by way of levels of service in terms of, say, response around bugs and incidents and so on. It basically lays out what the different parameters of the service are going to be, but there's some negotiation that went into getting this, and I want to show you now what that negotiation would have entailed. And this is where the engineering piece comes in, as I'll show you now. There are 4 main engineering elements that we need to get right. There can be plenty more, of course, but this will do us for the purposes of this discussion here. And you can see here that I'm writing security, continuity, capacity, and availability management. And what these are is these are practices with engineers and architects who work on making sure that these appropriate levels are going to be part of that service that we've just negotiated. And what happens is we come from a draft of the SLA down into these engineering processes, because what we have is from the service level management, we have initial gathering of customer requirements, and then what's going to happen is we're going to go to engineering and say, okay, are you able to achieve these levels of performance, these levels of uptime, these levels of security, these levels of resilience and recoverability within the budget that we've been given, within the parameters that we've initially gathered from our customer. Depending on how much of your internal engineering teams are doing this and how much of this you're outsourcing, you're going to need to have a conversation with your vendors. We are probably largely dependent on what our vendors can offer us. So if you're using, say, for example, Amazon Web Services, or you're using Google or Azure, or you're using, say, communication providers, telco providers, and so on, you're going to be largely dependent on what it is that they can provide in terms of your ability to support your customers' needs. Now, the ultimate net effect of dealing with those suppliers then is that you're going to negotiate contracts. And again, I'm showing those as a little turned up document here. And I haven't alluded to this before, but there is such a thing as service integration and management, which is another framework, a multi-vendor framework. And it dovetails in very nicely with ITIL and works very well if you're trying to run services seamlessly across a variety of vendors. Let's have our workforce. I'm going to call them workforce and talent because I like that sort of talent. And it's hard not to have a discussion about your talent, your workforce, and not find yourself discussing knowledge. And certainly what happens is we generate knowledge and lessons learned throughout this design exercise. Part of our business analysis then is on those non-functional requirements. There's a concept in ITSM called warranty. And we have 2 concepts, utility and warranty. Warranty is the non-functional, cross-functional requirements, if you like. So the usability, the serviceability, scalability, availability, continuity, and so on, as you can see. We've also got what we call the utility, which is the functional stuff. So this set of practices here looks after that cross-functional or non-functional, sometimes it's known. This is called the warranty. This is where all the money goes when it comes to engineering quality into the service. It's probably fair to say that it's up here around the business analysis and the software development stage that we are primarily focused on utility or the functionality. That's not entirely fair, but it will do us for the purposes of this discussion. The last piece that I want to introduce is just pulling this all together with what I call design coordination. It pulls together all the documentation, the templates, the knowledge into what we call a service design package, as well as starts producing change requests to actually get things implemented, such as releases of software and releases of infrastructure. So let's go ahead and add that in. So this is our design coordination, where we put all of that work together and we ensure that project is getting all of the support that it needs. We're going to produce a thing called a service design package. I'm going to imply it's got a few pages to it. And we're also going to provide those change requests which feed into the change management process that we saw before, and there's going to be a few of those. What you've essentially got there is a whole design piece going on, from infrastructure and applications collectively coming together as a service, as a product underpinning a service. This is at the heart of ITSM thinking. All right, so that's the third of our ITIL process skeletons, dealing with predominantly the project and design stage. And in my next lesson, I want to take you through the portfolio, architecture, and strategic stuff. And that will have our service management framework wrapped up for you. See you in the next lesson. I'm Dean Tuvey, and I hope you're enjoying learning how to manage tech. If you like this video, then hit the like button and subscribe. Remember to hit the bell notification so you'll be updated when I release a new lesson. And feel free to share this lesson with anyone you think who might get value out of it. I've added some cards to the next lessons you might want to watch after this one. Feel free to ask me any questions or leave a comment below, along with any ideas you have for future videos. Thanks very much for watching. I look forward to chatting to you more soon.